My name is Michelle Dyer, and I just have to note I am not a financial advisor. Please consult one. And the views expressed here are strictly my own and do not reflect my employer.
Hey everybody, I am super excited today. I have Clayton Howe here, performer, host of Entertainment X podcast. Now, he interviewed me for his podcast, and you definitely need to check it out. It's a really good podcast, all the episodes, not just mine. But Mel Robb from the Biz of Show connected us, and while we were chatting, he just had really good insight into budgeting because I hate the dreaded B word. And Clayton actually stuck to a budget, and he has a really good story. So, Clayton, say hi. Please introduce yourself.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Clayton Howe. Michelle just gave me a wonderful introduction. Yes, Entertainment X. We'll talk more about that later if we need links and what have you.
Please, yes.
But okay, so should we get right down to it, Michelle?
Please, tell me your story.
Oh, all right, great. So I graduated college in 2014. That was May of 2014. And I started saving over the summer. I was lifeguarding. I was making $13.25 an hour,
Nice.
$13.50 an hour. And I was saving all of that money because I knew by the end of the summer I was moving into New York City.
Mm-hmm.
I moved into Brooklyn, and I was sharing a basement apartment, didn't have a door, and I shared it with my friend, great friend, best friend. We're still best friends, Nakia Peterkin, and we split a $1,000 a month between the two of us.
Nice.
We brought I brought furniture in from Long Island, and so we were each paying $500 a month, which is really, really great in Crown Heights.
Oh yeah.
And I immediately went to the business of getting a job, some sort of job that would continue to pay my rent.
Yeah.
I moved into the city. I don't know if I just said this. I moved into the city with $2,500
Okay.
in my bank account.
Nice.
So I had what I considered at least 3 months to figure out my life. And
Of course.
I operated out of fear, and I don't think that's a great place to operate from, but
Great.
it definitely kept me on my path of budgeting
Mhm.
because I was afraid of not having enough money.
Yeah.
So what happened was I booked a cruise line. I
Mhm.
did that for 1 year,
Mhm.
and I saved relatively well,
Okay.
but unfortunately not well enough. And when I got back to the city, it occurred to me. I was like, okay, I wanted more money in my bank account before I got back for good. They offered me another contract.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, let me go back. And really, towards the end of my first contract and all of my second contract, I was saving about $1,000 every other week.
Saving?
Saving.
Wow.
Non-negotiable. I'm putting it in my savings account.
Nice.
$1,000
Nice.
every other week.
Okay.
And I saw a lot of my friends buying Lululemon and Macintosh products.
Really? On the boat?
Going out a lot. Well, when you're in port and you have this, crazy amount of money.
Oh, so you can go out at night.
Oh, yeah. And then, on Saturdays you're in Port Canaveral, so you go to the mall.
Oh, here I'm thinking you're
not,
like a nun on the boat. Oh, so you have the opportunity to spend.
Oh, a lot.
Oh, okay.
And what happened was, you can get to a place emotionally where you're not feeling fulfilled when you're doing the same thing day in and day out.
Oh, yeah.
No Wi-Fi.
Yep.
And you look to the external and the material things to stimulate, to be like, I'm enough, I feel good, I feel worthy.
Yeah.
And that's where you see a lot of people walking around with these high-end brands because it's a status symbol and they think it's going to give them some emotional value that it doesn't.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I was really conscious about this because I realized, okay, I could go spend all my money on these products, but they won't make me happier. And I'll be in a worse situation when I get back to the city because I really truly need money for rent.
Yeah. Wow. The fact that how old were you at this time?
24.
The fact that you were that
24.
mature to understand that at that age, though, that's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
That's a lot, though.
It's not an accident, though. It's not accident because I was looking for that information. I have, my own side interest, and you know this from our conversation on my podcast, is understanding the emotions behind things.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Why I'm always trying to figure out why someone will make it in an industry and why they won't.
Great point.
Why, is Steve Jobs successful and so many other computer people not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what is it? What's the, pushing through, persisting, all that stuff.
Yep.
So I had this so I got back to the city after my second contract, and I want to say I was almost at $30,000 in my bank account. And that was, again, not on accident. I was saving, I got a bonus at the end. I put that right in.
Nice.
But there was these, I set rules for myself with eating out, how much money I would spend in each port, or how much I would spend in a week. Because I tell myself, great, $100 a week, that's all I'm spending on the ship. And then you get to your first port in like St. Thomas and you rent a car and it's $50. And then, your Chinese food in St. Martin, when you go to that, or Thai food rather, it's like, that's $40, $50. So it's $100 real quick before you ever buy a Mai Tai.
Yeah.
And that was difficult for me. So there's a lot of like, I'll have my meals on the boat, I'll have breakfast on the boat. I won't go out and buy it. So it was a lot of, what?
Oh, I was going to say, do they provide 3 meals a day with your contract? Like, do they provide any meals, or is it all bought?
Yeah. Oh, it's provided.
Oh, okay. So you have the option to save the money. It's just people, I get it. No, I get it. But literally, like, you have the option to have free food.
But then you're thinking about it. It's like, do I want huevos rancheros in Cozumel? Or do I want eggs over easy in the mess?
No, it's true. I know. And when you've been on a boat, I hop to I deserve it because I've done X, Y, Z. Yeah. No, I get it. All right. I get it. I'm guilty.
The stories we tell ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a big thing, because you can talk yourself in or out of whatever you want.
Yep.
You can.
Wow.
And so when I got back here, though, it was like, again, and I was still operating, the fear is subsiding, and that's a whole separate conversation for us to talk about, how to not operate out of fear.
Yeah.
But I had, so I got back, okay, and I had first and last month plus security plus the finder fee, all that stuff. I signed a lease.
Yep.
But again, I signed a lease at 190th Street, way up there in Inwood, or almost Inwood.
Oh, yeah.
And it was $744.46 a month for my bed.
Yep.
And that's really good. And I shared it. It was a 4-bedroom, 2 full bath. I shared it with 3 other guys. And that was my rent, plus $100 that I budget for weekly here in the city. $32 for Metro, remaining for food. Because in reality, there's nothing else you need to buy.
Yep.
Now, granted, let's get to this. Now, this is a whole separate conversation that people don't talk about. I was still under 26. So I was on my parents' health insurance. So
I know,
we
haven't
even started talking about that yet.
And that's so lucky. So I'm going to go back to between first and second contract. So when you got off that first contract, you had full intention of just doing one and going back to the city with that chunk of change?
Yes.
And then you said, I only have XYZ in my account. I want to go save more so I can have the freedom to audition. Like, what was that thought process?
Okay. Well, I was sitting at the resort right after I got off the ship, and I got an email from the company asking me if I wanted to come back.
Okay.
Like, they roped me in real quick.
Yeah.
And it was good because I told myself I'd only do one. And then I had realized, okay, I wasn't ready to come back yet. I didn't have enough money.
Yeah.
That was the logistical thing. I didn't have enough confidence, I felt, to just get right back in. Because I'm telling you, those first 2 months I spent in Brooklyn were challenging. They were really challenging.
Like mentally, audition-wise, just been thrown in the city for the first time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because doing right now, Michelle, we're talking about money and we're talking about budgeting, but it starts with your mental, emotional intelligence.
Everything starts with it.
It's like, how mentally tough are you?
Yep.
And what's your risk tolerance?
Yep.
To pursue whatever career you're going in. So like, I keep talking about numbers and money, but it's a mental test you have to get over. You got to figure out the mental toughness of where you are and what's your level of comfort. Because the second you start paying for things on your own, it's much different than when Mama and Daddy were throwing me $20 for the movie theater.
Oh, 100%.
I grew up in Long Island, and it was a comfortable life.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I was like, rich beyond all means, but I was upper middle class, and I didn't have to worry. And granted, again, I didn't have to call up IKEA and get furniture delivered. I brought it from home. So like these are little things that change it for everyone.
Yeah.
If you're from Wisconsin, it's different than when you're from Long Island.
Dude, I'm from Ohio. I bought a couch, like a twin bed, a sofa thing, and a TV. Like you do what you know, you do what you gotta do. So I used to tell people, come to the city and have like $5,000 in your pocket. And now I'm kind of leaning toward 25 grand. And that sounds so far out, but it's comforting to hear that. And I always tell people, go on a boat. If you do not have money saved, go on a cruise ship and save. So it sounds like it is a great place to save money. I really go with the David Bach quote, though. It's not how much you make, it's how much you save of what you make. So you saw people who were making, around the same that you were, and then just blowing it all. So they would come out of the contract with not as much as you did. Did you the budget that you made for yourself, did you make that on the boat, or like how did you get there? Because the word budget just scares the pants off me.
Okay, so yeah, it does for a lot of people, I think. Well, I had two different budgets. One, I started to realize, now granted, up to this point, and I'm going to answer this question, I promise. Granted, up to this point, the most money I had ever seen in a bank account of my own was $2,500. Okay. Which is a lot for a high schooler. Oh yeah. Once you get into college, you get there. That's a big number to see. So then, once I started getting these checks that were, over $1,000. Yeah. And I see the number go to like, $7,000, $9,000, $11,000 in the bank account. Yeah. That was like startling to me. I was like, like this is like a small child. I can't get rid of it. I can't abort this. I need to save this and protect this. Mm-hmm. So that's when I made a savings account, because up to this point I only had like a checking account. Okay. Yep. And I was understood that I had like a money market, not even a money market. It was just like a savings. Yep. I have to look that up for you, but it gave me interest. There was interest because it was a savings account, and not much, but it's money for free, really. It's a couple cents. Yep. And I was like, okay, so how am I going to keep filling the savings account up? And I was like, great, $1,000 every paycheck, or $1,500 if I can do it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I did that. And then when I got off the boat, I pretty much looked at my rent and how much money I needed for like metro, aka moving around the city, and food. And then I just calculated out from there, like how much money did I have to live like that? Right. And then that had me deciding what kind of job I wanted to get when I got back and how much I wanted to work. Well, that was the other thing. So did you just straight, I am living on this budget so I can audition my face off and go to whatever I need to, or do readings for free, or do whatever I want. So I am saving for X. What was that X? Okay. Yes. I wanted the freedom to excel in performing arts. Yep. So I wanted to say, I want to go to that dance class at Steps, I'm going. Yep. I want that voice lesson, I'm taking it. Mm-hmm. I want to go to this audition and wait all day to get seen, I can do it. I don't have to go babysit or whatever. Yes. So the job I got was DJ, and it paid well enough. Yeah. And I was on the weekends. So we're talking 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. on Saturday through Sunday that I would DJ. And they would feed me, and I could have any drinks that I wanted. So I got my whole fill of that done. I was going to say, where was your fun, right? You're a 20-year-old in New York City. Yeah. I'm hosting the party at a bar, and I'm drinking for free. Yeah. And that, I know that's a lot of pitfall. That could be a pitfall for a lot of people of like alcohol, which just adds up when you go out to eat. Oh, yeah. Quickly. So that's what I was doing. And then I took all my free time. Mm-hmm. Now I'm jumping ahead here. So this is when I got back from my second contract. I was here for a full year. I took my time. I stayed at home a lot, probably more than I needed to. Mm-hmm. I probably should have had another job just to keep my mind busy. Okay. I was under the impression and realization that I wanted to do more than just audition. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what it was. Okay. I didn't know what it would be. So I was at home doing all sorts of stuff. I was reaching out to people that are way above my, weight class, so to speak, in boxing. Or wrestling. I was reaching out to celebrities, and I wanted to just interview, talk to, understand more of everyone else's path.
Yeah.
Because I just knew that sitting at auditions wasn't going to be the only thing I do until I quote unquote make it.
That's awesome.
So I had all this time to do that.
Yeah.
I wasn't distracted, and I intentionally didn't take a serving job because I knew I'd be making way more money than I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And when I start making more money than I need, it's like my intentions and my goals change. I'm all of a sudden like, well, I'm doing well. I have a lot of money. Maybe I should go to Italy, which is like a lot of my friends from the ship did because they had money to go to Italy.
Really? Yeah. Well,
I'm trying to stay on this direct path of I'm going to make it. I'm going to perform.
Right.
I'm going to get what I want in the performing arts, and I'm not going to travel until I do that first.
Yeah. And so even though you had that chunk of change in your pocket and did you have to work that DJ job, or was that just to sustain your savings?
Yeah. So essentially the DJ job replaced that $100 a week.
Oh, okay.
So if I worked one day a week,
yeah.
I'd make after taxes, I don't know, a couple $100 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would just spend $100 of it on what I needed to spend it on.
Yeah.
But then what that meant was any money in my savings account was only going to rent.
Gotcha.
And I'm still on my parents' health insurance at that time.
Oh,
so,
nice.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So there's like that whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still on their cell phone at that time.
Oh, nice.
Cell phone plan. And these are like the little things people don't talk about,
But
because
it helps. It helps. It's,
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And I'm not saying that like, oh, what I did won't work for you if you have to pay a cell phone bill and health insurance.
Right.
That's not the case. Like, no, you just adjust the numbers.
But I really wanted to talk to you, about saying, hey, this is possible and this is one person's path and it's possible. And for me, I'm going to go into my budget soapbox. Like, I was an actress for 6 years and I was told to lose weight the entire time. So the word restriction matches budget, and that just makes me shrivel up in a little circle. And that's very hard for me to do. And when you look at your money coming in and going out, there are two things that it could be. You could have more going out than comes in, or you can have more going in than comes out. So it's either spend less or make more. And so for me, what's more comfortable for me is to make more. And for someone like you were able to spend what you needed to spend, so your income was more than what went out. And so I think that it was so valuable to hear your story and what worked for you. And on the boat contract, this is my other soapbox. Did you even think about or save, or did they have an option for retirement? Was that even something in your mind?
Yeah. So I think the company had like a 401k I could put money into.
Okay.
But I had realized that I wasn't going to be working for the same company. As a performer, you never work for the same company. Sure. And that I was like, oh, well, then my other option is an IRA.
Mm-hmm.
So in my second contract, I had taken a week off the ship because my grandma had passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I was there with it was sad at the time. And now it's, it's life.
I know.
And so we're there, and I'm with my dad, and I'm like, I really should go to the bank and open up an IRA.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, well, what do you want to do? What do you want? So I think I got something in like Dynatech or something. I got something that's kind of relatively a little more. It wasn't necessarily like Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like bio something.
Yeah.
But so I have this IRA. I put in $2,000, and I put an auto pay on it for $200 a month.
Yes, auto pay. I love it.
Yeah, but while I'm on the ship, I don't notice $200 going out because every week I'm putting $1,000 in.
That's fantastic.
So short story though. Last time I checked that, previously it was like, I don't know, it got up to like 3,000 or 4,000 before it stopped auto pay because they stopped the contract.
Yeah.
And I got my statement the other day, and it's like double. It alone has doubled. Now I can't touch it until
you. Yep.
I go to 65, but that's money I didn't do anything for that money besides put it away.
And did you miss it because it was on an automatic deposit?
No,
Nope.
it's the same way.
You didn't even
the same
see
way
it.
you don't miss the beer money you spend when you go out. It's like it's gone.
I'm telling you, I will go back on this David Bach, The Automatic Millionaire. If you all haven't read it yet, you need to get it. It's so good because this is our other challenge as a performer. Like you said, we don't work for the same employer all the time. We do not have a consistent paycheck. People with jobs that get paid every 2 weeks. David Bach recommends that you put an automatic withdrawal in that account. So you know you're going to get paid on the 11th. So on the 11th, have an automatic withdrawal, like you said, $200 into your IRA, and have an automatic withdrawal, $50 into a money market account. And you put those payments on automatic and you will forget about it. Set it and forget it. And you won't notice that you've got the money sitting in your checking account because it's automatically withdrawn. So you really don't see that you've got a certain amount in your account, because if you see it, you might spend it. You might say, "Ooh, I've got XYZ in my account, so I'm going to go out and, go out for drinks with the girls every night." So automatic payments. I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you. Where did you learn about IRAs and automatic payments?
I know the name is very taboo. Tony Robbins. The book Unshakable. No, I mean, everyone has different everyone has different feelings and opinions towards what they consider motivation or what have you. But his information is coming from Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, and some other like people who are in the financial industry. So I read Unshakable, which is a shorter book. I think that's the shorter one. He's got a longer Money Master.
The Money Masters, yes.
Unshakable, though, gave me a lot of it. Unshakable is where they told me that there's a percentage on my IRA that, the bank is charging or whoever is charging, and you can change, you can pick, there's different percentage numbers because everyone needs to, obviously the person handling it needs to make a living.
Yep.
But you can get different percentages.
So an IRA, a Roth IRA, or a traditional IRA, there are two different types. Roth IRA is money that you put in post-tax. A traditional IRA is money that you put in pre-tax dollars. Now, a traditional IRA, when you take that money out, you are taxed upon it. A Roth IRA, when you take that money out, you are not taxed upon it because you put in post-tax dollars. Susie Orman highly recommends the Roth IRA. Now, an IRA is just an account. Sorry, I get really excited about IRAs, so I'm going to go into my... An IRA is just an account, and you have to select what investments that money goes into. So if you don't select any investments, that money sits in there and doesn't earn a cent. With the 401k, which is another type of retirement account, usually that company XYZ, says select from one of these 10 funds, and you have to select one of their allocated funds. With an IRA, sometimes you have a little more choice on what you invest that money in. You can invest it in individual stocks, or you can invest it in mutual funds and index funds, right? Which is the magic word.
Right.
And so exactly like Clayton's saying, you just look and see the percentage of the account fees on those funds, whether it's a mutual fund or an index fund, because there's an administration fee because somebody's got to pay for the lights on and the person taking care of that fund. But then there are managed accounts as well. So then there are people going in there and switching out the stocks in that fund. And supposedly they're supposed to be better than the market. They're supposed to beat the market. But you said Warren Buffett and all these people are touting index funds right now. So those are definitely something to get into, low fee, low cost index funds. They're getting so popular right now. So anyway, thank you so much for mentioning that.
Well, Well, there's two things with that. One, I don't miss the money.
Mm-hmm.
And two, to see the money double was really I was like, and I'm not watching a stock market. I'm not planning on moving it. It's just,
you didn't do anything, right?
Lose it.
You're not going in there having to monitoring it. You're literally letting it sit and do its thing.
So if, hypothetically speaking, you switch from an IRA to a Roth IRA, really all you have to do is pay the tax on the pre-tax dollars.
Yeah, so go talk to your tax guy.
Process?
Yep, you can totally do, because Roth IRA has a bunch of stipulations on it. One of them is income and different things. So I don't know if they call it a backdoor IRA. There are a bunch of things that you can do, but you can switch a traditional to a Roth. You just have to pay taxes on it, and deal with definitely ask your tax guy, but it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the other part of that, which is interesting to me, and I know without talking too much about like healthcare, but this falls into the budgeting situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had all that money saved up
Yeah.
before I turned 26, I actually, my first full year back in the city, I made under $16,000 in the year
Okay.
because making money wasn't the priority. And
Of course.
because I made under that amount, I applied for I could have Medicaid.
No way.
And didn't pay a dollar.
Yeah. And then how did you
So I had healthcare
apply
for
for
free.
that? How did you know to do that? Like where do you even go to apply for Medicaid?
You know, I want to say they make it difficult to find because it's free healthcare, but
sure.
That's a joke. But I think it was like nyc.gov.
Yes.
And I applied. I put in my last tax return. You know how little I made in the year, and it worked. It went through.
Great resource. And have you with the new ACA, they have, what are they called? Health guides or people that work with you to look at all the exchange plans. Have you ever done that, or do you know anybody who's done that before?
No.
Because I know they have, go to, I'm sure on what'd you say, nyc.gov?
Yeah.
They have people who work with you, and what they're called, guides, and they look at all the different exchange plans and they look into those options. And, I just have to tout the Actors Fund as well, because they have so many good programs on health insurance and financial education. So definitely check them out. So for you, what is the biggest thing? I mean, it's such an accomplishment to save up that money and to see other people spend it in different ways. What did that do for you mentally, emotionally? Like, how proud were you? Like, what did that do for you when you got in the city and you knew you could do what you came there for? And how did you get through it? Like, what did you do those nights when you see people go out and you're at home eating cafeteria food?
Yeah, no. So there's a bunch of responses to this. First of all, as far as the food was concerned, it was meal prepping. I meal prepped.
Yeah.
I made mass quantities of food,
Mm-hmm.
and I ate it during the week. So I didn't have to eat out at lunch. When you're sitting in the holding room auditioning,
Yes.
for the people auditioning,
Mm-hmm.
it's you go out and you want to go to walk, or you want to go to Taco Bell canteen or whatever, and it adds up. And I was like, no, I'm going to bring my Tupperware. I'm going to eat my cold vegetables that I steamed or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And I also was in the best shape of my life.
I was going to say, it was healthier, right?
It's portioned food. But what the thing is, and I just read this the other day, it was very interesting. Sampling a bunch of 20-year-olds, they put in, the average amount puts in like $73, say. They put in $73 towards their retirement.
Mm-hmm.
But they had this feature where you could see yourself at 80 or 90.
Mm-hmm.
And for retirement, and the people that could see themselves age put in like $173 for retirement, because us as humans go for that immediate, it's like that immediate reward, as opposed to saving up for the future, looking to the future. A lot of us live in the present moment, which is a good thing to do.
Right.
But in terms of money and looking to the future financially and logistically, many of us don't do that. It's not how we're programmed.
Mm-hmm.
We're survival beings.
Of course.
We're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest challenge in my mind for budgeting, because I'm the sort of person that'll save up, I'll do a big ticket purchase, as opposed to buying myself coffee every morning.
Sure.
Which, costs the same as like going out after a couple of years, costs the same as going out and buying expensive recording equipment.
Yeah.
One fell swoop. So my big thing was trying to save that money and to actually allow myself to realize, this present moment isn't what it is, isn't my defining moment. Like, I'm a shit. I'd be like, listen, just because you're going out to eat this morning in a car that you paid to rent because you have the money to do it, doesn't mean that this is going to be the situation in Washington Heights when you get back to the city and it's winter.
Yeah.
And all you want to do is get in that Uber instead of wait for the one train to go home. And that's that discipline. So like, I went to Midtown yesterday to go watch a football game. I walked, I live much closer to Midtown than I used to, but I walked to the venue so I could take a car home.
Yeah.
I didn't take a car both ways. I could have walked home, but I was going to treat myself to $4.87 car ride home. And it's that sort of little discipline that allows me to keep going financially. Because I wouldn't say, like, am I proud of doing it? Sure, I'm proud of doing it. But I don't ever necessarily feel like, this pride of the number in my account, because I immediately go back to, okay, the future.
Yeah.
Where's the money coming from the future? What do I need to do for the future? I figure out, and I also live in blocks of time.
Mm-hmm.
I will budget, from now till April.
Okay.
And then I'll be like, okay, in April, I got to sit down and I got to rebudget until
Mm-hmm.
September. And like I was living in Astoria previously, and I had a sublet, and the sublet was there I was in the sublet. I was subletting from someone from January to September.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my rent figured out. I wanted to live alone. I was going to pay more to live alone.
Yep.
So I was paying somewhere around $1,100 to live alone in my own basement apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then that same $100 for food and Metro.
Mm-hmm.
But I stuck to that hard.
Wow. Yep.
Because I wanted to get to September,
mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to put myself in a situation. Actually, one of my early podcast interviews, I was talking to this guy, Jeremy, and he had these cruise contracts, and he went out and bought a Louis Vuitton bag. He bought stuff he didn't need because of that immediate gratification.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting episode, and it got him all the way to the shelter, where he had to live in a shelter for a period of time.
Wow.
Because he had a lot of money to actually pay rent. And this kid was is talented, can always work.
Yeah.
But that little slump, he hadn't saved the money, and it got him all the way to shelter. And that was, I had all these thoughts before I interviewed him, but that was that's just, if I can avoid that situation,
yeah,
I will not get anything name brand, so I can, make it that extra step. And it comes up a lot. There's people who work on Broadway, and it's like they'll spend everything at Armani Exchange or wherever.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they're in their 40s or 50s, and they're no longer the big hit on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
And they're walking up 5 flights of stairs to that apartment that still charges them too much, that they don't have enough money for. And now they got to go do a job they don't want to do because they didn't just save in the first place. And
oh yeah,
I feel like the trick is to always look to the future. You always have to think about the future, which can be off-putting, because I like to live in the moment. But in terms of money, I'm always I want to be in a better position next year than I am this year.
And it allows you to grow creatively, because you said, you'll save up for recording equipment for your podcast. So it allows you to, having the money gives you an ability to have a different outlet. So you don't need to, and I don't want to assume, emotionally for me, it would be I don't have to live on the emotional up and down roller coaster of, I didn't get this audition, so now I'm not fulfilled career-wise. You went and you created your podcast, and you created something that not fulfills you emotionally, but what did that do for you that you could create, that you had the money and opportunity to create something that fulfills you too, or I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Okay. So I want to, this is a whole separate thing, which I'm totally down to talk about right now, real quick. I had a realization that I didn't just want to work on other people's projects.
Okay.
Because I have a certain work ethic. I have a certain way I like to run my things. It's just a certain way I like to do it. And I have no problem, obviously, performing in shows. That's not something against me.
Yeah.
But shows fold. A show that had auditioned for Broadway is all of a sudden not going to Broadway. And you just waited all day to audition for it.
Right.
That's the other part of it. I got really serious about how much time I have on Earth.
Yeah.
Which is a morbid thought for a lot of 20-year-olds to even be thinking about. But the reality is,
truth,
I want a family.
Yep.
I want to have a kid.
Yep.
Women can only have kids up into a certain age.
Yep.
I don't want to have a high risk of, am I going to be able to get pregnant with someone naturally?
Yep.
There's all of these thoughts that I'm now having at 26 that most people aren't having, because that's a millennial way to not think about it. You see someone in Hollywood having a kid at age 40.
Yep.
And you don't realize that when you get to that age, it can cost up to $400,000 to do an artificial insemination.
Yep.
And the odds go way down under 10%. But you don't know that. You just know that this over 40-year-old person had a child. So, even in your subconscious, someone might be thinking, oh, I don't have to have a kid right now. I can do it with technology. I can do it later. Not necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one sliver. Anyway, so not performing in other people's projects.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wanted to create myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I also thoroughly now encourage anyone who's a performer to create something. Don't wait for opportunity. Create it.
Yes.
You need to be practicing your art, whatever art that is, even when no one's looking. You can't just say, oh, but I'll put in the work when I'm on Broadway. No, 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 no. It needs to be happening now, every day, living in it every moment. Like, for instance, I love Andrea Burns. She didn't just become Andrea Burns overnight.
Mm-hmm.
She worked her butt for that.
Good girl.
That's not an overnight, none of this stuff. Even like, and the whole cast of Friends, it was all like, oh, out of nowhere, they got cast in Friends. That's not true.
Yeah.
They were performing in the city before that, but it's sensational to hear someone came from nothing.
Of course, yeah.
And people do, but it's just not the reality in terms of making it, being discovered, all of those, and I'm putting air quotes up. So I encourage everyone to create, and that's what led me to create podcasts, working on a TV show, creating a film.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows where they'll go?
Yep.
But I have them created, and there's a possibility they can go somewhere, because then what you realize is you're now creating jobs.
Yes.
You're not just waiting for one. And
yep.
especially in the art field, jobs are limited.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can create jobs, you're going to do all right. And I love Lin-Manuel. I mean, the guy, I don't know what his thought process was,
yep.
but I imagine it was something along the lines of, I'm not on Broadway. I'm not being represented. The only way I'm getting there is if I put myself there.
Yep.
And now Disney calls him to be in Mary Poppins because he created something.
Yeah.
No, it's the way it goes, especially today with the way in Instagram and all of this stuff is scheduled and created.
Yep.
It's just different. You need to create on your own. You cannot just wait. And you can wait, but you may not get to where you truly want to go or want to be.
Yep. And you need to have the bandwidth to be able to do that. If you were working a restaurant job and you had to be at the restaurant at 4:30 every day and you worked until 4 a.m., would you be able to audition and create and do? I mean, you don't have. You wouldn't have the bandwidth.
That's why I stopped DJing, because it took me 2 days to recover, and now I'm starting to schedule my time and budget my time as important as my money, which is more important than your money. You can always make more money. You can never make more time.
Yes.
So you need to love every minute of what you're doing, and that was my realization. I was like, oh. I'm now recovering from the bar because my sleep cycle is off. Mm-hmm. And I have to get up at the gym at 5:30 before I get to these open calls.
Yeah.
So I had to change that. But then you realize how many hours are in a day, 24 hours in a day. Mm-hmm. You're working 9 hours at a job. Mm-hmm. So subtract that from 24. Yeah. You sleep for 8 hours. Subtract that from 24. Give yourself an hour on each end of your workday for commute. You still have those hours. What is that? Comes down to like 5 or 6 something hours a day of free time. And what are you doing? Are you scrolling through Instagram?
Yes.
Or are you creating something?
And it doesn't have to be perfect. And, that's kind of the trap that I know I can get caught in. Oh, it's not perfect. I want to make sure I put out my best face to the world. Yes, but perfect is the enemy of, what is it? Like perfect is the enemy of product or something. There's some quote. I got to go look it up. But it's like, it doesn't have to be perfect to just start. I feel like it's like, just start. Just, you may not be a beautiful playwright overnight, but at least just start. Just start doing readings in your friend's room or just start. And
I wish.
Yeah, just see what
I wish Nike had not copyrighted Just Do It.
Just do it.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I just want to end with, what would your advice be from the situation that you went through? And if someone's trying to deal with, should I go on that boat? But then that'll take me away from auditions for a year, but it'll let me save money. Like if someone's kind of on the fence and is like, what advice would you give to that person who's like, what should I do next? Just kind of contemplating.
Well, there's a few. I have 3 different things. First, 1, write it down. Write down what you want to do. What's your main goal out of life? All of us have these dreams to be famous, achieve this, achieve that. But what are you looking for? Mm-hmm. Do you just want to be seen? Do you just want to be loved? I mean, there's core needs that all of us humans have.
Yep.
And if you can get down to what those core needs are, you can probably achieve them much faster than what you think. Because we overcomplicate our lives. That's just, life is relatively simple and we make it very difficult. Mm-hmm. You can realize what you want to do affect people positively. You can do that in your quote unquote day job before you're doing it on a Broadway stage.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that so you can emotionally get yourself to where you want to be faster. So write it down. Just write down what's most important and make different columns. Where and they do these with products when they're creating new products. Make a fake life. Like schedule it. What is the ideal product? What is my ideal life?
Mm-hmm.
Living. Where do I want to be? Who do I want to be with? What do I want to have? Where do I want to go? And then make those, and then see which. So traveling is important to you, and you want to perform. You could start traveling now with the ship.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Part 2. If it's not a hell yeah, it's a no. So whenever, and you realize as a performer, if you're charismatic and you talk to people, you start to get sales jobs that make you a lot of money. You can become a real estate agent.
Yep.
You can go work in a theme park on a cruise ship and a da-da-da-da. And you need to realize that if it's not a hell yeah, it's a no. For me, that might help you.
Yeah.
Because I want to be gung-ho about what I'm doing. I don't want to do anything kind of like, kind of.
Yeah.
And then the other one, the third thing is, if I find myself making pros and cons lists, it's usually because I have to ask myself this: am I talking myself into a bad idea or out of a good idea?
Interesting. Yeah.
Because the spirit knows. You just got to convince the mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the interesting part. And it may, like, someone who's listening might be like, oh God, this guy sounds a little spiritual. I am. Personally, that's what works for me. But you'll find more often than not, life, whatever you believe in life, is giving you signs.
Yes.
They start off quiet. They get a little bit louder. You hear it and you're like, oh, that's interesting. That doesn't feel right. And then eventually the brick wall falls down on you. And this can happen in like a relationship. You're dating someone, something doesn't feel right. I think they're lying to me. They're not. Ooh, that was a really vicious response they had to me saying hi to that girl. But we're going to keep it going.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, it explodes because you don't listen. Your life is speaking to you. What is it saying?
Yeah.
And I know it's like a very spiritual approach to money, but I noticed that, like, for instance, I heard this about like Warren Buffett. He's very intelligent, and then he can also remove emotion from decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you can remove that and just get down, like dig down to like the core, the seed of it, it can really help you make a solid decision about, should I be saving this money? Should I go on this ship? Should I go take that day job? Should I leave the city for a little bit and come back?
And it's so funny. I didn't expect our talk about budgeting and finances to go there, but I think it is part of the bigger picture, at least for me. Like, try to remove the jealousy of this person is going here on Instagram or is wearing this piece of clothing on Instagram or has this bag. So making sure that I'm fulfilled internally and spiritually, and that is not interfering with my purpose and what I want. Because will that bag fulfill me? It'll just fulfill that superficial part of me and thinking that that's what I need, instead of what am I missing over here that I'm having this bag replace for me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that relationship that I lost. And it's like, no. No.
This bag means success. Yeah, which I can get somewhere else, which I can get fulfilled somewhere else other than this external spend money on this bag, which I can put into a retirement fund, which sounds really fuddy-duddy at the age of 26, but when you get 65, you'll be really glad you did.
Especially if you're like an ingenue. You're not going to be an ingenue at 65.
Dude, that is my story.
So if you're making money doing that, you need to figure out something else, because by the time you need to retire, that might not be your type anymore. I'm just talking about performing. But,
No, I'm telling you, like, I was going to go to school for marketing or musical theater. I said, you know what? I can always go into marketing business later because I'm an ingenue and nobody wants a 40-year-old Nina day and night in Hollywood and Ukraine. Like, no, I did that role in my 20s. I'm not going to do it now.
So, and one last thing I just want to add to that. Next time you're out in the city or out and about, take a look at people walking down the street and what they're holding and what they're using and what neighborhood you're in and what you see people's needs are. Because you'll notice many people, instant gratification is so much more important than looking to the future. And if you can look to the future, at least with the way you spend your money, then life will it'll be better off. I believe how many people I see with smartphones, but complaining about how they can't pay rent.
Well, I mean,
and I get it. Smartphones are the way of the future. I'm not
right.
trying to.
But do you need
at all
the iPhone 10 when it comes out?
But I have an SE. I don't have an iPhone 10.
Right.
It does the same thing. And this phone was $400, and that's $1,000.
And you can still email your agent and get emails and sites from your agent, from on that iPhone.
And I also have an iPhone 6 Plus that I bought used for $300.
There we go.
So you know what I mean? And now I have people you got two iPhones, and I'm like, yeah, but they're not as nice as the iPhone 10, and one is used. But it's just it's where you spend your money. There's some things that you can get used, and you can buy that other thing new. If you really want a nice watch, buy the nice watch. Don't take an Uber for a month.
Or ask for it for Christmas or your birthday.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And that's what it comes down to, budgeting.
If
it's in your budget to Uber every day, then you can do that. But you can't just willy-nilly spend the money.
So if you want those big ticket items, ask for a gift certificate for Uber for the holidays, or ask for, use that as the gifts that you're asking for family or friends or whatever. And then, but I'm going to get timely and talk about this government shutdown, because one thing that a lot of people are dealing with right now is not getting a paycheck. And a lot of families are in dire need right now. And the statistic I keep hearing is that I think it was, don't quote me, 70% of families don't have $1,000 emergency fund. And guys, we're not just talking actors here. And I know we talk about financial issues being such an issue for actors because we do have a specific set of, we don't get a consistent paycheck from one company, our income varies, but this is life, people. So you need to have your stuff together and have an emergency fund. But this isn't just specific to actors. This is for everybody. People, what are we doing? Living in debt, trying to impress the Joneses. And I think it's Gary Vaynerchuk's you're trying to impress the Joneses and you don't even like the Joneses. Buying stuff you don't need to impress people you don't like. Let's get our heads on straight and let's find true fulfillment. What will fulfill you and what will fill that void for you? Find what that void is, because a bag isn't going to fill it. So,
nothing material can fulfill that emotional. I agree.
You got to find what does it for you. All right. Thank you so much for talking with me. I would love to do a shameless plug portion of the podcast. So can you please tell us everything, where people can find you? Plug away. Tell me where can people find you?
Great. Okay. So I'm brand consistent. Inclination. It's a play on inclination. Inclination, at Inclination on Instagram, Twitter. You can find me if you Google it. Entertainment X.
Yes.
Is my podcast. I get to the soul and drive of top performers in the entertainment industry.
Woo.
You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, Player FM, and iHeartRadio. You can find it pretty much on any podcast platform.
Cool.
That's Entertainment X. It's long form, so the interviews are an hour plus. Everyone from theater, radio, television, and film.
Cool.
And that's it.
Awesome.
That's all of
awesome.
it. Actually, it was quick.
Thank you so much for this conversation. It was rocking. So thank you so much. All right.
You're welcome.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.